I see it as like fear, anger. They're like a wall. And it's, let's not try to beat down that wall. Let's just jump over it.
Hello, Creative Soul. If you have been wondering recently how to take charge of your emotions and cultivate a little bit more happiness in your life, then please keep watching. I'm chatting with Paula Neva Vail. She's an author. She is a TV and radio host. She's a Reiki master. She's owner of Wellness Inspired and just a generally massive heart. Paula's mission is to spread positive energy, information and inspiration through education and entertainment. And I feel like we're going to be ticking a lot of those boxes today. In this conversation, we're going to be diving into some of the themes and lessons in Paula's book, Why Am I So Happy?, which Paula herself describes as a petite, powerful book. And it's certainly that. Paula, welcome. I'm so thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. I am so honored and grateful and happy to meet you.
I would love to dive straight in. And this is something that you actually mentioned quite early on in the book. And I'm just going to read the sentence, and it immediately made me reach for my highlighter. So you put here, I believed early in my life that I was the one in charge of my emotions. And to be honest, that is not a level of awareness that I had early on in my life. So for those people who might be listening thinking, I just don't understand how I can be the one in charge of my emotions, and also how would I possibly come to that realization? I'd love for you to chat a little bit about that.
Really had kind of an awakening to that and realization in my school years. When I was around 12 or 13, I actually was bullied some by other students. I was real thin, I was shy, and, I just didn't understand it. I was scared to take my coat off. And then talking with my dear uncle, who was really a wonderful coach for me, and shared, it's up to you if you let it upset you, if you don't. And I really thought about that. And I thought, it is up to me. It is up to me whether someone approves of me or likes me or how I look. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to be me. Love me or don't. And that set me free. And it was later on, I had someone come up to me and say, I'm so sorry, Paula, I bullied you. It wasn't about you. And I realized when someone criticizes you, many times it's their own insecurities. It's there. And when we realize that we are not in charge of anyone else's emotions, anyone else's views. We are in charge of our own. It sets us free. It really sets us free. When I started my podcast radio show over 7 years ago, I was thinking, I want to end the show with love, hugs, and blessings. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I tell everyone I love them, are they going to think I'm a goof? And then I thought, doesn't matter. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. and it's just been a fantastic 7 years of interviews. But really, we are in charge of our emotions. We are in charge. So as we have challenges in our lives, in my book, I share some different challenges that I had. And there's a decision many times. Am I going to be angry over this, what happened? Or am I going to be grateful for what I had, or what this made me realize how precious life is, and friendships and loved ones. So you can go two different directions. And that, that really taught me that. It's really, we're in charge of which direction we choose to take our thoughts and our emotions. And when you think about that, that's actually very exciting. That's very wonderful and beautiful. I can control what direction I'm going to take my emotions. And that's a great, great gift for us.
Listening to you, Paula, with this word control, and you were talking about how people may be thinking about you, it seems to me that actually control has a totally different energy when it's used in this context, because rather than try to do something out there, like manipulate how people are responding to us, we're actually bringing all of our energy within. And so as I was listening to you saying, I'm going to tell everyone that I love them, it's like if we have our energy within, we have that strength to be the people that we want to be, rather than having all of the attention out there, and then we feel completely out of control.
Exactly. And when we begin with what's inside us, and that our core, and let our core shine, oh my gosh, and it will affect others. Have you ever noticed how you can walk into a crowded room, and if you have a big smile on your face, it can change the energy in the room. It can bring smiles to other faces. I mean, others feel our energy. And that comes from what's inside us in our core, and it can shine out. And that really is a beautiful thing.
Let me flip a few pages on, because it wasn't long after that you talked about this concept of surrender. And I got to be honest with you, Paula, I struggled with this for a long time, this idea of surrender. I used to think it was a sort of like very inactive, passive, I'm just surrendering. Doesn't that mean I'm going to let people walk all over me? And I've certainly learned a lot about this concept, but I love the way you put here. Consider this: to surrender is not a weakness, it is allowing.
With allowing, what I'm referring to is, in life, we take our steps. We do. We have what we focus on. But things around us happen. And things happen that we really can't change, or we can only do so much. Here's a little analogy. Let's say you're floating in this beautiful, warm, wonderful river. Okay? Things come. Oh, there's rocks. There's branches. We're hitting against the rocks and the branches. And, it's horrible. And then we move off. Okay, so take these rocks and these branches as things that come into our lives, things that happen that upset us and anger us, and we want to change them. But we can't always do the change. What we can do, we can sit back in that warm flow of love and manifestation. We can look at what our challenges are. We can realize, decide, whatever, what steps we can take as an individual to maybe change those or affect those. But we have to realize there is only so much we can do. And once we've done what we can do, we have to allow whatever is happening to happen. We can only do so much. And we have to realize that. So we just constantly can just take the steps of what I can do in this situation. What I can't do is beyond me, and I cannot let that hold me down like a big heavy coat. Take that coat off. I've done what I can do in this situation. I've loved where I can love. I've taken the steps, and I'm going to continue walking.
As I was listening to you, I got this sense of this could be a moment to celebrate. Like, I've done what I can do. I've loved who I can love. And then that allowing has a totally different energy. There's no kind of anger like, oh, what the hell, you know, this crummy thing has happened. It's like, no, actually, I've done my best. Let's let the rest unfold. So and as you were describing the river and the rocks and the branches, it made me realize that if we don't surrender, we spend so much energy exerting ourselves trying to fight the branches and fight the rocks, when really we don't necessarily know the full story. Like, there have been many things that have happened in my life that I have thought were awful, but have then not turned out to be that have actually turned out to be a real blessing. So it's like you're kind of fighting with something that might actually be a real blessing, and you're preventing it from unfolding.
Many times we can be taken down a path which we had not expected or envisioned, but that path actually can open up to something we had not even imagined possible, some wonderful manifestation, wonderful wisdom, learning. I mean, you know, I've always said to my Reiki students, okay, we have our two hands open here. One hand is in our goals, our research, our learning, what we're striving for, and that's beautiful. But let's keep that other hand wide open to what may come in and what may come into our lives and manifest we had not even dreamed of.
Oh, yeah. There was another phrase in this book that really spoke to me, because I find it's a place that I'm in at the moment. You said, when we choose to evolve consciously, we give permission to be shown the fullest of our power and to be guided in using that power.
Basically, giving permission to be shown is just, yes, I am open to the positive manifestations to come to me and be shown to me. And I'm not only saying, yes, so be it, I'm trusting. I'm having faith in it. Trust is a huge piece of the picture as well. Yes, I am open and I trust. And when you do that, it raises your vibration. Our emotions are a big key to where we reside vibrationally. Anger, fear, resentment are very low vibrations. Trust, love, joy, compassion are very high vibrations. And when we reside in those high vibrations, we are opening up to so much and connecting to so much. It's really fascinating how you can be in, you know, a certain vibration and thinking, and then you connect with someone in that same high vibration, or, you know, meet people and things come into your life. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that we've connected today, but we make the choice every moment of our life where we reside vibrationally in our emotions. And it doesn't mean we don't ever fear, we don't ever have anger, we don't ever. And when we do, we acknowledge it. And then okay, what can I do to myself to better this? Okay. And then I move on.
What comes to me is, I know this isn't like a one-off thing. I know it's not like waking up, giving permission, having the clouds part and the message delivered. Like, it happens over a period of time. So I'd love to know, Paula, what you suggest, because at the moment, I am giving that permission. I'm waking every morning and I have a beautiful guardian angel. I give her permission to intervene in any way that she sees fit. I speak directly to the universe, saying, "I'm here. You know, speak through me. I'm willing and able." And so I do feel a sense of patience, but one thing that I feel is the biggest challenge is I've got this real doer, real masculine energy. Let's get things done today. And so I'm in this place where I want to do, but I also am aware of like, well, I'm waiting because I don't want to take action until I know it's the right path, the right course.
Balance. Think of it, my do, what I'm doing, I'm taking action, the monkey brain, the ego, which is always go, go, go. And we need to step out of that sometimes and just say, okay, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm walking down the path. I don't have to run. I'm on the path, and the path is going to take me, and I'm just going to continue on that path. I'm going to do what I feel I need to do, but I'm also open to what's going to be beyond that path. When I walk through the trail and come out, what's going to be there? I'm going to be open to that. So I would say balance in, yes, I need to do this. Yes, but also I need to take a moment to just let go of the control that I want and say yes to the manifestation and what is out there and give it a chance to come into my life. So I just try to balance. I've always said I am not my car. We can base our happiness. Well, when I get the car I want, or when I get this that I want, I'm going to be happy when I get this. And it's okay to work for things, but the happy is here. It's in the here and now. It's not in when I arrive somewhere. It's not in tomorrow. Our happiness is in the here and now. And let that put a smile on your face. I can be happy right now. In my book, I talk about happiness triggers. We all have little happiness triggers. Find out what yours are. Like mine is listening to my favorite music. I chair dance and, or just looking at a beautiful sunrise or sunset, sitting by a tree. Reading, crafting. Figure out what your happiness triggers are and give those to yourself on a regular basis.
People who are listening, people who are tuning in, I'd love for you to share in the comments, what are your happiness triggers? Because sometimes someone else can make a suggestion and you're like, oh, I'm going to take that on as one of mine. So I'd love for people to share in the comments. I would say for me, taking time in nature and walking my dog is one of my biggest. Ecstatic dance, again, a huge happiness trigger. Any kind of breath work, cooking plant-based food from scratch, like following a new recipe is another big happiness trigger. A hug, like a 20-second, fully conscious, attuned hug is a beautiful happiness trigger for me. And waking up early in that real silence, first thing in the morning. You talked about watching a sunset, like just that sort of morning glow. And I know I have the morning to myself, like a real happiness trigger. All right. I want to move on to this next one. Because we've sort of touched on it a little bit, like it's been creeping in, but I'm going to read the section that you've put in the book. One of the most important recommendations I wish to share with you is keep the door open to unconsidered possibilities. Trust in Source to connect you to manifestations beyond your goals. Source can connect us to that which is beyond our wildest dreams.
A great example was when I began doing my show, interviewing my amazing guests. I was just kind of focused on doing the show and, the positive energy and caring of others that I can create. and I'm just going to keep it open. Next thing I knew, I was featured on the cover of a magazine, a New York City magazine. And from that article, I was contacted by an organization. They put, a few free posts every year in Times Square. And they contacted me and said, we would like to feature you in Times Square, New York. And I was like, oh, that is so awesome. Well, thank you. Whatever. I'm really grateful and thank you. Whatever it is, it's wonderful. I didn't ask any questions. And I had friends saying, well, you need to get details. You need to. I said, no, I'm just grateful for whatever that they do. I'm just grateful. So I really thought I would be like a 8x10 in a store window somewhere. And all I asked was, would you mind sending me a picture after you post the feature? And when he sent me the picture, an 8-story billboard feature in Times Square, I literally stopped breathing. But, it just, you never know. But I had not asked any details. My attitude was, I'm just grateful for whatever they do. I'm just grateful. So my hands are open and there you go. What was created? The things that can manifest when we keep that door open and just say yes and trust in positive manifestation. What can come to us? Connections, people we meet, things happening. And of course, after that, I had to do a trip to New York City and stand where the picture was.
I love this story, Paula. And a couple of things strike me. The secret sauce that gratitude is, the importance of it. Like, you said your friends were asking all these questions, but you were calm. You were just feeling grateful. Because I think, and I'm certainly guilty of this, it's almost like, and it must just be my ego, a belief that I can trick the universe. It's like, oh, please, really? You think so? So I think that I can sort of pretend to have the door wide open and to be open, but secretly I'm really willing something very specific to come through that door. But what strikes me is when you actually just put all of your attention on gratitude, you can't then, like if you're busy being grateful and you're busy feeling that sensation of gratitude, you can't also be thinking, but I really hope that this specific thing is going to come through that door.
It's like, here's the door and here's some curtains. And it's like, I want to control those curtains. What's going to open up and what I'm going to let in. Be open to, and it's not easy sometimes, but being open to what can come through and just allowing it can really be life-changing. Yeah. And ego is a good thing. As long as we have balance, ego is a good thing for us because that's how we, make steps and move ahead, work towards our goals. But it's all about the balance.
It's lovely to have that reminder that the ego could be present. It's about the balance, because sometimes if I'm in a period of manifestation and I find myself being really ego heavy, I get a sense of dismay, like, oh no, I've jinxed it. Like I've jinxed the whole thing now. That there's no point. Like I've ruined this whole manifestation period. Versus like, oh, as I was listening to you, it's like, no, I've just noticed that my ego's come in and it's sort of secretly demanding something. But then it's just a case of, in that moment, how can I balance it out? Let's move on. We're coming to another section in the book that I was really intrigued about. And to be honest, I was really curious about the language that you used, and I'd love for you to talk more about this one. You say here, the human emotional system has two elements, fear and love. Love is of the higher self, while fear is of the personality.
Fear kind of resides vibrationally where ego does. Fear is, it is a protection emotion of us, so it can be good. But out of balance, it's not good, because it actually, fear puts a wall up in so many areas. And actually, our emotions are kind of out here. We choose them. We have the fear, we have love, whatever. But when we are in love, when we are feeling love, compassion, we are in such a high vibration. It's like fear is this big a bubble. Love and compassion is this big a bubble. So we have the little bit of light, or we're surrounded in light, filled with light. And just, it's a huge difference. And it's also a choice we make every day. Okay, right now I can think of things in my life that I love, people I love, things I do I love, moments, happiness triggers I love. Or I can go over here and, well, I fear this, I'm afraid of this, disappointed in this. So really, there we go again to the choice we make at the moment.
Let's go a little deeper into this, Paula. The phrase that you say, it's that choice that we're making in the moment. There's real power behind that statement. I also know there's going to be people watching this who feel in the moment that they don't have that power. So, for example, it might be in the moment they're feeling fear and they're like, I just watched that video with Paula and Gabriela. Like, I know I'm meant to be able to choose right now. So they're aware on that level, but they're still not able to make that choice because it might be an unconscious behavior. They might feel so triggered. And what can then happen is they feel utterly powerless, or they start giving themselves a hard time.
You can have something that brings anger and, can really, really ride with us. So I'll say two things. One is, for example, something that can make me angry is animal cruelty. I'm a big animal lover. Or, if I see an animal injured or something and I get so upset, but then, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to send love to that creature. I'm going to send love. I'm going to just send love, and, and to me, I send Reiki. But, I'm going to give it love. And that can help you feel better. Another thing, something I do every day, is a morning affirmation. That helps us take the fear away. That helps us step out of that. Like, I say yes to my body's health today. I say yes to my body's health. I say yes to helping animals, people, and the planet. I say yes to abundance and manifestation. Just taking a few moments to say a positive manifestation can help us make that step and get out of the direction of the fear. So it can all start with just little steps. And when we get into those little steps to help us step over that, I see it as like fear, anger, they're like a wall. And let's not try to beat down that wall. Let's just jump over it. It's a lot easier, a lot less painful. But just a few little steps of little things you can do to start with are going to make a big difference. Especially if you continue, then they become a habit. And then that mindset becomes more of a habit. Our mind, they can take on the habits and kind of get set on, instantly in a situation, this is what the direction I'm going to go in my thinking. But when we do little bits every day and kind of change our mind habits, then they start going that way automatically. Our minds are just so fascinating.
I agree. And it's always good to have that reminder of the little steps, because I think there is that danger of believing that in order to create change, it has to be something momentous. So I love the reminder of the morning affirmation. I particularly like that first example where in a challenging situation, your reaction was, let me give love. What occurred to me as I was listening to you was how if I catch myself and I'm triggered, my immediate reaction is to try to fix what's going on in me, which never works. But what a beautiful reaction. Rather than fixing what's going on, it's to simply say, let me give love, because that's just going to immediately cause you to focus on your heart and to bring in that high vibration. So I love that as a tiny step to take in that moment when things feel challenging. Last highlight was around the idea of tone of voice. I'm particularly interested with this one at the moment, Paula, because of the relationship that I have with my parents and how tone of voice can be so impactful. If you hear something said to you with a certain tone of voice, I had never thought of the concept that tone of voice gives off energy, but that's what you're saying here. The tone of our voice gives off energy. As you go through your day, do you ever take a moment to listen to the tone of your voice? I was so fascinated with that. But the question that I want to ask is this. What do we do when we notice an energy in somebody else's voice, but past events have shown us that bringing attention to that tone has led to denial? So it's like, how do we navigate? So it might be a relationship with a loved one, a spouse. So for example, a relationship, the tone of voice occurs with my mother. It might be a tone of voice either directed at me, often more directed at my dad when I'm present, or my brother when I'm present. And I feel it. I feel it in my bones. I'm very sensitive. It hurts my body. But when I draw my attention to it, she totally snaps out of it and denies it. So I love your advice on how to navigate that situation.
We can feel the energy from a tone of voice more than from the words. Words can be said, but if the tone of voice puts off a certain energy or a negative energy, you feel that over the words. I mean, especially if they're kind words, but if they're in a negative tone, you're going to get the negative. We can't control what comes to us from others, but we can control how we take it in and how we're going to assess it. So I would say, first off, acceptance that we can't control it. It's someone else. It's not us. And just do I'm just going to relax and flow in the river. I'm not going to let the branches and the rocks hit me in the face. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to almost, accept it.
It's powerful to hear this. It makes me realize that I have been trying to change the situation so that I can feel differently. Yes. So by accepting that I can't change it, it stops me. I suppose I've justified it to myself by saying, well, I'm trying to raise my mother's level of consciousness. But even if I was trying to do that, in the moment is not the time to do it. So, yeah, what I'm hearing from you, Paula, is to really bring my energy to accepting, and actually probably to bring my energy to give myself some yes. nurturing, rather than directing my attention where it's not going to be able to change the situation anyway.
That is going to raise you to a higher vibration, and it may affect the situation a bit, or it may not. We don't know. But you are in control of you and where you reside. And, just realize this. I'd love to change it. I wish that were different. I wish, but that's hitting our head against the rocks,
I'm now looking at the most recent time this occurred, and I now see I'm just hitting my head against the rocks. There's no good that's going to come out of that. Like, the rock isn't going to break, is it? I'm just going to come off with a bruise on my head. Yes. So it kind of shows me I'm actually hitting myself against my mother. In that moment, she's not going to break. I'm going to be the one who's even more wounded. So let it flow. Surrender.
Let it flow. Realize there are rocks and branches in the river, the manifestation river of life. We hit rocks, we hit branches, but do we continue to battle with them and continue hitting them, or do we flow on to the positive?
I choose flowing on.
We're going to flow today. We're flowing today.
Paula, this has been such a treat to be able to have you to myself, to pick your brain, to feel your love and energy. Like, I love how that's possible even via a computer call like this. I want to just take a moment, Paula. There may be something that I didn't ask you that you're like, this feels like something I really want to educate people on right now. Like, I know your commitment to spread happiness and joy and inspiration. So is there anything that feels really alive within you that you're like, I also want to add this before we finish?
Yeah, I'd like to add, whoever you are, wherever you are, all of us, always know you're not alone. Always know you're loved. We have angels around us. We're all energetically connected. We're not alone. And, that realizing that can really make a difference. One of the reasons I wrote my book was people always said, why are you so happy? Because I love sharing a smile, a compliment. But I had many challenges in my life. But it's, the direction and what you learn. And really, challenges can make us more grateful for the good. But just remember, we're not alone. We're loved. I love you. I'm not afraid to say it. But we're not alone. And we have the choice every moment of our life where we're going to reside emotionally and vibrationally, and what we can open up. And, that's really a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Gorgeous. Paula, I love you. I really do. Yeah.
I hope we meet one day.
Yeah, well, I know you're coming to the Netherlands, but certainly when you're next in the UK, you must let me know. I'm just holding up the book. I don't know if it looks like it's a mirror copy for me. I got this on Amazon. I will put links below of your website where people can find you on YouTube. Is there a particular, I know you said you weren't that tech savvy. Is there a particular platform that you like to engage with people on, Paula, that I can link them to?
Well, my wellnessinspired.com website is great, and they can email me. And then my show, Elevating Your Life, there's a link to that. And if anyone would ever like to email me or ask questions, I'm here. Feel free. And I will let you know I am writing another book. So, about angels. I love the angels. Yeah.
Awesome. Can't wait.
So I'm just really happy to connect with everyone and just so honored that you chose to have me on your podcast.